Eric and Steve. How you guys doing today?
Hey, we're good.
Great.
Good to see you, Eric. We just chatted not too long ago for drink water, so happy to see you again. And Stephen, I'm so happy to have the opportunity to chat with you. Okay, guys, so last week I'm going on my walk. I'm listening to this first podcast, and I'm like, what? My walk is over? Like, what's going on? I had so much fun listening to this. Stephen, how did you guys, like, first of all, it doesn't even sound like you guys have any fun doing this. Yeah, really. I mean, how did it come about, Stephen?
Well, how did it come about? Well, Eric and I have been friends for a very long time. We have had countless meals together, and we actually are part of a group, an extended group of friends that refer to ourselves as the CADS, Character Actor Dining Society. And I think, around the pandemic, Eric's good buddy and a friend of mine, Sean Hayes, who's got this amazing company, Hazy Mills, came to Eric, and they were discussing maybe they should do something. What kind of ideas do you have? And Eric, God bless him, because he knows that I need the money, said, why don't me and Stephen Weber, who's a friend, why don't we just get recorded talking, because we chat and we laugh and all that stuff. That's kind of the apocryphal beginnings of it. Eric can speak more to these specifics.
I just noticed that when we would go to these dinners that grew before the pandemic, they grew from like 4 or 5 guys till sometimes 10, 12. But I'd look around, we'd be at the Palm or some sort of Hollywood place. And for every industry person, there was a tourist, and that tourist was leaning in.
Right.
They were, why is that guy from my favorite show talking to that guy how are they friends? What are they talking about? And I thought, this is a podcast. It's just actors eating, telling war stories, fake war, not actual wars. And I love it. I could listen to any actor I meet. I could hear their stories of the theater or this and that. So that's really what it comes down to. Is it's not structured. It's not an interview show per se. It's just a slice of a dinner.
Actually, because I was going to say, look, I've been doing this for 35 years, interviewing celebrities forever. I know I only look 20, but it's true. And I got to tell you, like, for me, the typical junket, you get there, you get 5 minutes. It just drives me insane. And so during pandemic, when I was walking every day, these are the types of podcasts I would listen to, because like you guys, I love listening to the longer format and really getting some substance. And so, I'm listening to this first one, and you can just tell, having Richard Kind, who is hilarious, no holds barred. He's going to just say whatever the heck he wants. And then, the refined LeVar Burton. But I loved listening to these stories. I mean, Stephen, what I think I loved so much about it is, yes, being kind of a voyeur, but also a fan of all of you. It really gives you insight, and it feels very natural.
Well, what we discovered when we were originally trying to find something that would distinguish this from other podcasts was, we thought, well, what if we try eating? Since we spend most of our time as friends eating and chatting, why don't we bring the eating component to it? And we did. And what we found is that it actually adds something that is kind of universally accessible to an audience, and I hope that people listening to it will feel as though they are eating with us. They are at the table with us, chomping and chewing and wiping their mouth and spitting and ordering and, ducking out on the check and doing all those things that actors normally do. And it's incredibly, it's a funny thing that happens when you eat and you talk. You become more at ease, it seems. 100%. And so the eating out component has kind of changed up normal podcast conversation interview dynamic.
Yeah. If I had not been on a walk, I would have grabbed a piece of pizza with you guys. But I have to say, Eric, I was so excited that you met, well, being a fellow Torontonian, the magic pen. Oh my God, did that ever bring back the memories?
That's hilarious.
That place is.
The magic pen in the Eaton Center, gone. But a huge piece of my adolescence, because that's where I could go and get served wine, because they thought they've got to be of age, because who the hell would come here at 16 and eat a chicken divan crate? but I would. And we'd order, it was hysterical. I loved it. I took dates there to impress them. Loved the Magic Pan.
Yeah.
Look,
And-
as a Canadian hero, as
Yes.
a legend, a living legend,
Yes, he
why
is.
don't you bring it back?
You know, I mean, we could do a whole, because the last interviewer we were talking to brought up the Swiss Chalet, and it's like
Oh.
these restaurants formed. Stephen was raised in New York, where restaurants are everything, and he had a bit of a showbiz family, and I had nothing like that. So
Right.
even a restaurant like the Swiss Chalet was to me exotic.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I've never gotten over that, to me. And I think that's why the name of this show, it's not just eating with. We started dining with our pals, but then the lockdown happens for 2 years, and we immediately have to go to Zoom because what we missed was eating out. I
Yeah.
miss restaurants, and so that's a big component of it. Is the way you talk in a restaurant is different than on a Zoom or on an interview show. It's just different.
100%. And, you guys have some amazing guests coming up. I cannot wait for this next one to drop. Okay, Stephen, let's just go there. I mean, Tony Shalhoub, your buddy from Wings. I mean, come on. I'm so excited to listen to this one.
Okay, calm down. God, I'll take it easy.
I know,
Eric,
I get
we're
very
gonna-
excited. I get very
Well,
excited.
we're the burden of this show is that once people discover it, we're gonna encounter the type of hysteria that you are embodying, Bonnie.
But that's
we're
what
just gonna have
just the name Tony Shalhoub makes women scream.
to.
So true. Listen,
Oh,
I
God,
finished. I already finished the whole season of Mrs. Maisel. Like, I'm a huge fan. But no, seriously, it's so great that you guys do keep in touch with your, these are people that you've worked with. Wings, over 30 years already.
30
Come
years
on.
ago.
And
Well, I
then
have to say,
yeah, I mean,
well,
it's-
between the two of us, we know a bunch of people, and not because they're famous or whatever. I like to think because we're all kind of survivors. We're all witnesses. At the end of the day, we're all part of a big ensemble. Even though we've managed to find individual success, I feel like the thing that bonds us and might be very compelling about this particular show is that we are all actual friends. We cling to each other in a way that the business often goes out of its way to prevent. There's a lot of isolation. So yeah, being with Tony Shalhoub or being with Rachel Lee Cook or being with Bryan Cranston, Julie Bowen, we know all these people. Alfred Molina comes by, Jason
Yeah.
Alexander comes by, and they're all friends. And I feel like everybody's very eager to connect, not show off, but to really connect. And that's what I feel is so different about this. So talking to Tony, first of all, he's so great at what he does. I don't know, Eric, maybe you agree with this. Even though we're all friends, we're also fans of each other.
That's
I
right.
love listening to
Yeah, that's
Tony's stories. I love listening to Eric's stories. And we listen to each other with such kind of genuine enthusiasm.
Yeah, and like I said, it was so refreshing when you guys are talking about, for example, Fan Expo, and that when you go, you're fans too. And I think that makes it so relatable to us. Like, even though, like I said, I've been doing this as my career for over 30 years, every single time I talk to somebody like you guys, you can see still, like, I love listening to this kind of stuff. I mean, look at the success of some stuff like Smartless and it's insane. I mean, you guys can now go on tour, like, if you follow them. What do you think?
That's what we're hoping for, sure.
Yeah. I think we might, Smartless goes on tours to theaters and arenas. I think Eric and I will just do kind of cruises, weekend cruises to Nassau in the Bahamas, or something like Carnival cruises. We'll do that.
No, but you can do them in restaurants.
We'll go to restaurants. That'll really be nice.
Actually, a great idea.
It is a good idea. Hey,
restaurants, and we'll put microphones and we'll yak. Of course,
that's right. And we won't have to pay for the meals.
See, this is the whole goal, right? I'd like to produce this, so just keep me in mind when you can continue doing it. Yeah, okay, we have a couple minutes left, but Eric, I know that you have another podcast coming up with Sean. We talked about that you're looking back on episodes of Will and Grace. How many are in the can, and when are we going to hear that getting started?
Stephen and I have got about 10 in the can right now, I think. So we got a lot coming up for the spring and summer. Sean and I would say at this point we've done about 6. And it's a little harder to coordinate. This one's hard to coordinate because we have not one but two guests,
Right.
Stephen and I.
Yeah.
With Sean, we're trying to have guests, but there's a lot of episodes to cover. So for someone that doesn't even barely know what a podcast is, I'm talking a lot lately.
But it's good. We love it. And then Stephen, just to wrap it up. Okay. So a couple of weeks ago, I had the opportunity to talk to Thomas Hayden Church, and I did ask him, would he be considered, doing a Wings podcast, same like what Eric is doing? Is this something that you would consider?
And what did he say?
He said, well, it's Thomas Hayden Church, so let's just go there. But he, in a roundabout way, he was focusing on all the people who had already died. And I said, no, there's still a lot of people alive, Tom, like Stephen, like Tom Daly, like so many of you. I mean, he said,
Yeah,
he could be drawn into something like this. If
I
you
mean, look,
left him out, I think he would do it.
God, first of all, he lives in some remote outpost in Texas, so
Yes, he
hard to
does.
get, and there's a lot of security and man traps and all that stuff around his. I guess he's got a some sort of fortress or something. I mean, look, there is an audience out there that loves this stuff. Not to get serious for a second, but TV and entertainment tend to skew very young, but it leaves out a significant demographic, which is over 50, over 60. They're still alive, talking about being alive, and they still like to listen and spend money. So who knows? But you know what? In the meantime, talking with Eric and our friends will kind of have to do, and it's really fun, and it's very engaging, and so and the thing about our show, it's not just nostalgic. It actually is very current. And we talk about the state of the art, and it moves away from showbiz quite frequently. It's pretty interesting. You'll hear in upcoming shows.
I can't wait. Well, listen, guys, thank you so much for your time today. Such a big fan of both of yours, Eric, as you know, and I can't wait. Wednesday, I'm tuning in for the next one. I've got them all, like the alerts on my phone. So thank you so much for your time. Best of luck. And when you want to do the series in restaurants, just remember, I want to come and be there.
Genius.
Okay. Bye, guys. Take care. Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Bonnie.
Bye-bye.